What is up, everybody? It is Flo, your host, and we finally have the full Vols ATB crew back with Brando, Alex, and Drew. And we know that we had a game last week, but we don't really give a shit about that right now because our volunteer football team is rated number one in the college football playoff rankings. It is absolutely fucking mind-blowing. This whole season has been a whirlwind. And I wanted to go through the top 10 real quick. And then I wanted to give a very interesting stat that I found and then kind of hear y'all's takes on obviously us and then the rest of the top 10. So obviously Tennessee number 1, Ohio State number 2, Georgia number 3, Clemson 4, Michigan 5, Alabama 6, TCU 7, Oregon 8, USC 9, and LSU 10. Now, where we are standing, obviously we have a huge game this weekend, but where we're at right now, we hold a 61% chance to make the playoffs. And I found this stat that blew my mind, and I think it probably led a lot into the voters and why we were number 1. But it also kind of shows a little bit of favoritism towards Clemson over TCU with this. So with the ESPN Stats Info Strength of Record metric, which that measures how likely it is that an average top 25 team would achieve the same record against that team's schedule. Tennessee at number 1, 8-0, 8%. 8%. So the average top 25 team would only have an 8% chance to go 8-0 as we did. The next one behind that is Ohio State at 18% on their schedule. That's a 10% difference between 1 and 2. And then TCU actually sits at number 3 at 22%, and Clemson at number 4 at 28%. So I thought that was super interesting. That just shows really how hard and how shocking it is that we got to this point. And I just want to let y'all kind of go around and tell me your thoughts about the whole top 10.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the last few weeks we kind of had a thought that when the college football playoff rankings came around, and it wouldn't be like the AP poll, the strength of schedule would come into factor. And, Tennessee, they announced yesterday, like the team there, the college football playoff team, they were saying that like the LSU win, the Bama win, LSU somehow making the top 10. That blew me away. That was one of my biggest takeaways, but that really does help us to be number 1 right now in the opening week. And then obviously the Bama game where we went out there and beat Bama. I knew Bama would kind of, still be in the picture right there, and Bama definitely controls their own path. But I think the most shocking one to me was like how favored Clemson really is. Like their schedule, yeah, they've beaten 3 ranked teams, but they're all ACC teams who are like ours, not in the top 35 anymore. To see, the college football playoffs use our only LSU and Bama game, not, Kentucky or Florida and all that, was kind of crazy. But to use their 3 Syracuse, Wake Forest, and NC State games, like that was just kind of shocking. I don't think they're really all that. I don't even think Clemson believes they're all that. And Dabo Swinney would say that because they took out their starting quarterback and put a true freshman in Cade Klubnik just to go out there and win a game. Like, and they didn't say, oh, yeah, DJ's still our starter. Like, that's just crazy to me. Obviously, for us, though, number 1, absolutely crazy. Couldn't believe it. It still doesn't feel real, like I asked y'all before the show. But, we deserve this. The staff deserves this. And we definitely have the best resume. We're the best team in college football right now.
All right, Alex, you go.
Oh, you didn't want to go, Drew?
I'll save the best for last.
Wow. Okay. No, yeah. Biggest takeaways really is that like Brando said, LSU sneaking back into the top 10. It's kind of wild after the horrific start they had to the season, falling to Florida State, but then kind of finding their way and then getting waxed by, I don't know, the number 1 ranked Tennessee Volunteers. And then Oregon back in at number 8 after getting waxed by Georgia. They've rattled off the last 7 and are still playing good football now. The AP and the CFP, they always going to find a way to put Southern Cal in there after doing nothing all season. So they're sitting at number 9. But I think really going back to the top now, I think the reason that they put Clemson in it for is because 1, they couldn't put Bama, and 2, they didn't want to put Michigan because that'd be 2 SEC teams and 2 Big Ten teams. So I think Clemson's there really just for shits and gigs. Honestly, I think Michigan, Bama, and TCU should all be moved up at least one spot, and then drop Clemson somewhere because, like Brando also said, they haven't done anything. But I think this ranking's huge for us because now, in the event that we lose against Georgia, we probably fall to no less than 5. And I think 5 is still like worst case scenario, but that keeps us right in the hunt for the top 4 playoff spots. So, I mean, this record is huge, yeah, because like obviously we love being number 1, and I think we've had a lot of success this season, but it also helps our chances going forward, like you said, low with that 61% to make it in. So yeah, I'm just glad that we finally got some respect because we've been like still kind of denied all season. Every game it's like, oh well, they'll find out this week, and we still keep proving people wrong. So I hope that trend continues the rest of the season. But yeah, you can't complain when you're number 1. I mean, everybody catching us now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think we've always kind of known, especially after the Bama game, that the AP poll it's irrelevant at this point. We've all were looking forward to the first college football playoff poll that came out yesterday. I mean, you had AP voters out there having us at 5 when we were undefeated and having a 1-loss Bama team at 2. So, like, you can't really take that for a grain of salt. The one thing I do find surprising is I agree, Phil. LSU has no business being top 10. Now, they're not a bad football team. They're a lot better than they were about a month ago when we kicked their teeth in. But they have no business being in the top 10. I mean, and I would make a disagreement with the Auburn thing. I mean, I think Auburn deserves to be in the top 4 because at the end of the day, we can dissect and say that, well, these teams that they play, like, you know, their ranked wins are not very good. They've still beaten 3 ranked top 25 opponents. I mean,
Did you say Auburn?
Yeah, did you say
Clemson.
They said Brian Harsin the top.
Dude, my brain's like in complete scrambles after day from work. But yeah, no, Clemson, I agree with them being in the top 4, and they're going to be number 3 regardless when they win the ACC. They still have 3 ranked top 25 wins. TCU, great story, unbelievable for a first-year head coach with Sonny Dykes, but I just don't think they have improved anything yet. I mean, their best win is what? Kansas, maybe? Kansas State?
With a backup quarterback, too.
I mean, yeah. So, but regardless, though, Vols first time in 24 years, number 1 team in the country. I don't think any of us even thought this was even a possibility a month ago, much less back on our pregame show in August. So, just amazing. And the one thing that we can be very thankful for with Tennessee is that they control their own destiny. Just win each game, and you win Saturday, and it doesn't even matter what the hell happens in December in the SEC championship. We're in. So
that is so freaking true. And I'm not sure, given the Clemson TCU thing, when I go back and look at those strength of record, I guess that's the difference. You know, they got strength of schedule and strength of record. Record is up to this point. That's why I guess the rankings came out this way. However, I don't know. I can see Clemson dropping the ball. I put an upsets parlay in. I have not bet on Tennessee all year, and I'm not changing that now. But I included an Notre Dame money line over Clemson in my upsets parlay. I could see it happening. I could see it happening for sure. Mm-hmm. The fact of the matter is, I mean, where we're sitting at right now is just unbelievable. Like you said, Drew, all we have to do is take care of our own, and we are freaking golden. I mean, it's absolutely unbelievable to think about that. And I mean, even in reflection to, you know, Dobbs and company, that's really all we had to do too. But that team couldn't get it done. This team can, and I have no reason to believe that they won't be able to. So it's really just awesome. But I guess we do have to shift and at least cover somewhat of the Kentucky game. It seems like it's so literally like last year because all of this rush and whirlwind of being number 1 has came in and just taken over everything. But we do have to cover it. I mean, holy shit, like we blew them out of the water. The game was literally over by halfway through the second quarter. Will Levis held for 98 yards, 3 interceptions, no touchdown passes. Just an abysmal performance for what was supposed to be first-round draft pick. I mean, he lost millions, hundreds of thousands at that. Let's get everyone's takes on it.
Yeah, I mean, like the game was only close. Like we went out there and scored on the first drive. Didn't do anything. Got the ball back the first drive, but then they go out there and kick and missed their extra point. And after that, like they kind of just flopped on the floor. Like late into the second quarter, Nico Slaughter puts a guy on a post, or Jawan Mitchell with the pick. And I feel like right then and there, like Kentucky bowed down. I feel like this was like a week where you can say like Tennessee's like jumping up in that like top level of the conference. Like you got. Kentucky, they want to be elite, but they're more of a Missouri, South Carolina, and Tennessee's out here going with the big dogs in like Alabama and Georgia. And, they put them down. Will Levis, his worst game in I don't know how long as a Wildcat, somehow still has a better QBR than Stetson Bennett, which is crazy to me. But overall, just a huge team win. To say our secondary would come up huge in a game like this after last year's game against Kentucky, where they just slowed down the game. We didn't give them a chance to slow down the game, and we talked about that a lot last week. We took full advantage and just, stepped on them. And that came with a lot of help in our defense, just getting them off the field. Like, we took advantage of everything. And up until, like, the fourth quarter with Desmond Williams, like, returning the punt, like, the team was on fire. And it was crazy in there, like, from the start whenever they played that little audio from Twitter. So that was, like, crazy. Nealon was rocking, and, like, this team is insane. Like, what they're doing out here is insane. And, of course, like, to finish it off, Jalen Hyatt, crazy. That always open 24/7 Waffle House.
Literally, that's the one thing I can't understand is if you're keying in on anybody for us right now, obviously it's Hook, but I mean, everybody watches the quarterback. But I mean, that there's one dude out there torching defenses, and it's number 11, and then they just go let him start the game a minute and a half in and get a touchdown. Like, that would be the last thing I would do if I was Kentucky. But granted, I guess they don't play football that well. But speaking of Jalen Hyatt, I saw something interesting that Grant Ramey tweeted. So the SEC, here's how total touchdowns go for receiving touchdowns. Tennessee has 25, Bama has 23, Mississippi State has 23, Ole Miss 16, Arky 16, Kentucky 15, Vandy 15, Jalen Hyatt 14, LSU 13, Georgia 13, A&M 11, Florida 8, South Carolina 7, Mizzou and Auburn at 6. This man has outscored half of the SEC on his own, and Kentucky's like, I don't think I want to guard him. I mean, that's absolutely asinine. But, like, I don't know. I was a little bit nervous during that game when it first started because we get off to our hot start like we normally do. Then Kentucky moves the ball down the field. But then it was like first and goal or second and goal when Levis tried to pull it and take it like a 4-yard run in, and he got drilled. And I was like, I don't think he knows what's happening yet. Like, I think it was at that moment I was like, this game might go different than a lot of people are expecting, because I did kind of expect it to be a little bit closer. But, I mean, he got rocked there, and then Chris Rodriguez scores a touchdown, and not really any of them celebrated too much. Like, I think they even kind of knew that the writing was on the wall early. But Slaughter played out of his mind. He had the big hit that caused the fumble, then goes and gets a pick later on in the second half. And, I mean, our defense played lights out. You really can't say nothing else other than, like, it was just complete domination. And then just, God, I love seeing them so upset. I love seeing them pissed off. I love seeing them grasp for straws of excuses of why they lost and how we cheat and this, that, and the third. But and shout out to the men's basketball team showing them their rings. I thought that was tough. Just rub it in.
Oh yeah, that was beautiful. I mean, I gave Kentucky way too much credit on thinking that they're going to score 28 points on us. I mean, my God, that was the perfect definition of an ass whipping, guys. I mean, my Lord, that was one of the most beautiful things I've seen from a Tennessee football team in a very long time. And the crazier thing about it, too, is that in the third quarter, they had 6 yards of total offense. 6. Like, that's not fake news. That's facts right there. 6 total yards of offense in the third quarter. 6 points the entire game. Least amount of points we've allowed since 2008, when Fulmer and Eric Berry were, balling out for us. I mean, we showed Will Levis that he was a fraud, punk, a clown. He can go back to Lexington, the coal mines, drinking, coffee with his mayonnaise, like the disgusting freak that he is. And we just put them in their place of where they belong. Like, Tennessee is always going to be their daddy. I mean, and they need to accept that. And whether if it's football, basketball, or baseball for that matter. So it was awesome. I hate Kentucky with fiery passion, as you can tell. So seeing us beat their brains in and, having it be over by the end of the first quarter was just gorgeous. I mean, that was the best defensive performance I've ever seen from a Tennessee team, and at least the last years.
I mean, yeah, it really was shocking. Everyone keeps bringing up our overall defensive ranking, but when you factor this game in and you look at her play, it starts to look a hell of a lot different versus just overall rankings. Not to mention, I mean, 3 interceptions. I mean, we could have had more. We could have scored 60 on them easily. I mean, literally, our offense didn't even play nearly as good as usual. Like, we could have throttled them like Akron type scores if we wanted to. And I mean, I can't even get over it. Like, the whole scenario on Saturday, it was literally like prepping for Halloween. You have Neyland at night, the championship team's coming back. God, that was sick as hell. The flyover, everything was just incredible. That flyover was so sick. And
it was loud.
Oh my gosh, it was so awesome. Like, everything about it was just fully electric, start to finish. And what cracks me up, I know this is going on to Georgia, but they were talking about their stadium being 110 at its loudest, and I saw it hit 116 sitting there against Kentucky in the second fucking quarter. So I don't even know what they're trying to compare here at all. But we obviously have the best stadium and environment in America at home. And really just all of our programs are just so incredible. I mean, you've had basketball, baseball, and now football all ranked in the number 1 at this point in just these few short seasons. I mean, it's just absolutely incredible what has happened.
Can we also, crazy? Brando, you go ahead first.
I was gonna say, like, the crazy thing is, like, it's not just like the big 3 in the sports. Like, it's like underfunded sports and like non-funded sports too. Like, all of Tennessee athletics is just out there going crazy. Like, to say the environment and everything from the pregame scene to the light show to the flyover with the Jets, like, just absolutely crazy how they go all out. And like, it all goes back to the administration we have in total, like all the people that do the behind the scenes and stuff. But like, just to see this team go out there and play at like their full potential, Jalen McCullough out there hitting people on the field, and just great to see. Like, I feel like he had a crazy game, to come back. Like, him and Cedric, they didn't have game changing shifts, but it was really impressive to see them get back involved.
Yeah, can we talk about a little bit the fact that like Jalen Hyatt broke the school record for touchdowns in 7.5 fucking games? Like, how insane that sounds. I mean, literally. I mean, like, it's unreal. And like, the crazy thing about it is that he's going to easily be able to get 20 touchdowns this year. Like, I really believe that. And it's going to be one of those records that's like going to be an unbreakable. Like, no one's going to be able to pull off another season like that, at least from us, for a very long time. So I want to hear y'all's thoughts on this. Do you think that, like, if he reaches like with over like 1,600 receiving yards, which he's well on his way, he'll probably easily cover that, and over 20 touchdowns, that he's there in New York in the Heisman ceremony? I mean, it's hard not to.
I definitely think he's there. Like, I think he's there, but I don't know if he's like, like the favorite, like in the top 3, but I think he's definitely there next to Hendon. Now that you said that, like, I'm imagining the drip in New York that these two are going to have. Like, bro, that's just crazy, man.
That's hard to, it's hard for me to fathom because we're used to just being annihilated by all national media outlets and every voting poll and everything else. So it's really hard for me to imagine that 2 players could be there from the same team. But if he pulled yards like that and stats like that, it would basically be undeniable and really a catastrophe if they didn't allow him there. I mean, it would be even worse if they didn't. And God, what a statement that would make. Mm-hmm. 2 finalists. Oh my God. I can't even imagine. That would be like just an overall complete dream world. I think it's possible. I don't know if I don't know. I'm undecided. I'm talking myself in and out of it as I speak, but damn, that'd be cool.
I think the numbers are certainly there, like y'all have said, but I think it's just hard to run 2 Heisman campaigns. You know, like, I mean, if you credit the quarterback, then does the receiver get as much credit? And then if you credit the receiver, does the quarterback get as much credit? I feel like you just kind of have to put all your chips in on one. And obviously, we're all sold on Hooker just for the year that he's had. But deserving? Absolutely. Plausible, kind of like y'all said, I don't know. But, I mean, I think he's far and away the leader for the Bletnikoff, and I think that's his to lose at this point. But how crazy would it be after all these years of never having a Heisman winner, we throw two up there, one the overall favorite who can definitely cement his Heisman candidacy like this weekend, and then a guy who, like you said, has already broke the record at 7.5 games in, but who matched his 3-year career total by game 5. He already surpassed all the numbers that he had put up combined by the 5th game this season. I mean, we a lot of us predicted him to be a breakout star. We have been. We know this has been in him since he arrived on campus. But I mean, even after all that we've expected, he has blown all of those expectations out of the water and then some. It is incredible what he's doing. But I mean, gosh, it's fun. It's so fun to watch.
I mean, I get that argument saying you can't really have two Heisman campaigns, but he leads the country in receiving touchdowns, and he has more receiving touchdowns than half of our fucking conference. I mean, as far as teams go, I mean, he's about to triple South Carolina for God's sake. So I mean, you can't. I
wait, Drew, wait.
Yeah,
you're telling me that Spencer Rattler, the God-given quarterback of the offseason, can't find a way to get his receivers touchdowns?
He's just a glorified Nathan Peterman that can run. That's all who he is. Man's a fraud.
Nathan Peterman at Pitt was better than him.
Yeah, exactly.
Pitt Peterman was better than Carolina Rattler.
Rattler's trash. He's probably in the same level as, I would say probably Garantano. Actually, that's even being disrespectful towards Garantano, because at least Garantano threw a decent amount of touchdowns. It was just the most inconvenient times when you needed
sometimes
him.
Other teams.
So yeah. Rattler just can't even fucking.
Rattler's done that. No, Rattler's done that.
I think it's crazy to say though, back on Hyatt, that before this season, last year Jalen Hyatt was a starter to start the season, lost his job, kind of fell off, got back in the weight room. He'll even tell you himself that he wasn't the best he could be. Comes back this year, has already double, tripled his career numbers, has more than half the conference. It's absolutely crazy to say he'll be on that stage with Hooker, and he's definitely winning the wide receiver award. But it's just crazy, man. That guy's story has been absolutely insane, and couldn't happen to really a better person.
Facts.
We agree. One of our listeners just kind of agreed. Blevins_D said, wide receiver recruits. The only reason that you won't win a Heisman at UT is because your quarterback will. Good
Honestly.
point.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like they're their own biggest competition right now.
Kids are taking notice of that. If you want to talk about elite wide receiver recruits, Tennessee got a crystal ball for a 5-star wide receiver, Ryan Wingo, the number 2 overall wide receiver in next year's class. That's absolutely crazy. Just to see definitely the real deal, probably the top prospect in the class, and it's definitely in effect from what we're seeing all season. Tennessee going out there and putting it on the field last year in 2023. That class right now, all these kids had their minds made up, didn't really take us serious, but they're going out there and you're putting up 44-6 on Kentucky, treating them like Kentucky, sending them back to the coal mines, and everyone's, seeing that we're the real deal. We're going to be on College game day for the 3rd time this season. It's going to be in Athens. Tennessee is the most watched team in college football, and now the number 1 team in college football. So if you're ever a recruit 2024, 2025, whatever for the future, and you're seeing Tennessee go crazy now, you've never seen it in your life because of your age, but now you're seeing them be the real deal, come to Tennessee.
100%. I saw that Nico was there this past weekend, and he gave a pretty cool insight about how people are still trying to get him to switch and whatever. And he was like, I just come to Tennessee every moment I can. He makes the trip literally across the country with his family. And he said that his dad handles all of his DMs and inboxes, but that there's no way that he's leaving. He's 100% locked in here. And I just think that's awesome. And also, he liked my tweet about us needing to celebrate being number 1 and that everyone can kiss our asses. They need to shut the hell up, and we deserve to celebrate it as we should, because we've been waiting for this literally our entire lives. So it is to be celebrated. But yeah, in terms of just our offense, and now that we've kind of exploded across all of national media, that's all everyone is talking about is who can anyone stop us literally at all. And a lot of people don't think so. And another interesting stat, it's Georgia versus top 10 ranked scoring offenses under Kirby Smart. In the past in the past 8 years that they have played a top 10 ranked scoring offense, they've only won 2 of the 8 matchups. So even though Kirby Smart is supposedly, we know he is. He's a great coach and he's very good at defense. But even in those matchups under top 10 scoring offenses, they have come up severely short. And we are number 1. We're not just like number 8, number 9, number 7. We're number 1 in scoring offense. So I don't know how this is going to play out, but I can certainly say that I could see us winning. Like there's a clear path to winning.
Yeah, I mean, I saw a similar stat, and it was like but Georgia, when giving up 30 points plus on defense, like it's like similar to that 2-8 thing. Whenever they've given up less, it's like 78 and a single digit or something like that. So if Tennessee can go out there and execute their offense, that's, if they go out there and score points, they're going to win this game, like just regardless. But last year, looking at it, didn't have that much talent, first year under Heupel, Georgia's best defensive generation, to be honest. And they shut down the Heupel offense, to be honest. But now this year, reloaded, Heisman Hooker, Jalen Hyatt, team's fully healthy, going to be the most healthy we've been all season. Even Kirby Smart's talking about our splits and, how we run the ball so well to set up the long balls. And I think that they definitely know what's coming. I think we definitely have an advantage to go out there and take advantage. We saw what happened with Missouri, Kent State. Their leading receiver, Brock Bowers, he's a tight end. They don't really dish it out to the wide receivers. And if our safeties can play huge in that game, that's going to be like tremendous. Definitely a huge opportunity on the table. It's absolutely insane. And I wanted to get y'all's opinion. When we went out to Baton Rouge, that place was loud, and we stomped them in, right? Now they're a top 10 team ranked. LSU was loud, but does that, playing in away stadiums, does that hurt their home defense? I've been seeing this take on Twitter. And when they're loud, right, and you play against an offense like that where you have to go and get set up, even Kirby said today, the communication has to be key. You have to know who you're guarding in a split second. When the crowd's, roaring and they're talking about how loud their crowd was earlier, if they want to be rowdy, I think we should let them go ahead and be rowdy, because I think it might be a disadvantage for their defense to allow Tennessee to go out there and score points, because even Kirby Smart said today that no matter what formation you're in, like they're going to be able to scheme with their splits. And I don't think they're going to be like, no one can defend this offense. Let's be honest. We're going to go out there and score points like we usually do. And if we score 30 plus, like the stats say, we're going to win that game.
Oh my God. I don't know, but I mean, in terms of the Tennessee playing in a loud environment, obviously it's different, for our defense when they're playing in a record-breaking, decibel record. But when our offense comes into play, we already utilize like a silent snap count like a good amount of the time anyways. So they're just going to prep literally the same as I think they would for any other game. And just, the expectations are already there. It's clear in every interview, whether it's player or Coach Hype or even the assistant coaches, that it is a week-to-week basis. This is week this is week that. This is our opponent this week, and this is what we have to do. This is our plan. Let's execute it. The noise, that doesn't matter. They have the plan. I'm sure that they have the right plan. All they have to do is go in and execute it, and they win this football game.
Here's my thing is that, and somebody brought this up in the comments. You know how just literally 3 years ago we were talking about that 2019 LSU offense as one of the scariest offenses in maybe college football history. Well, they scored 48 points a game. We're averaging 49. They gave up 22 points a game. We give up 21. They averaged 7.9 yards a play. We averaged 7.4. They averaged 568 yards a game. We averaged 553.
That's pretty damn crazy.
I knew we had a good offense. Obviously, we've been constantly talking about it all season. But when you show me that, And like we talk about how scary that offense is, this offense mortifies defensive coordinators. Like it actually keeps them up. And I mean, we've seen. I think Bandit posted that picture of like the meme of all the coaches like jumping and screaming at hype because he's just tearing them boys apart and just laughing about it. I mean, like, again, I guess we always fall back on like if there's ever a year that we were going to do it, it's going to be now. And even coming in as the number one team, we're still like I don't think we're favorites still by Vegas standpoint. Aren't we like minus 8.5 or
-9 or something?
Yeah, we're 8-point dogs.
It's been fluctuating between 8 and 8.5 today.
So I mean, even then, people are still doubting us, and I think that's a better spot to be. Like rankings aside, people doubting us. We've shown that we come up to play every Saturday, and then like the rest of the season is the rest of the season. We'll talk about that when it gets here. But I mean, these boys are firing on all cylinders. Our defense picked a great week to show out and show that they have the confidence to stop a quarterback, to stop apparently a high-powered offense, an NFL offense or whatever. So I mean, they're hitting on all cylinders now. So I mean, like, shit, I don't know. Like, I mean, we just gonna walk in there and we're gonna do something. Like, I wanted to point that out. And I've never been more like anxious just to see how this game plays out. But like, I don't know, just excited because I know that like we finna go to war on Saturday. That's all.
I was gonna say I wanted to point that out, like just the fact that like the photo and all the stuff with the coaches and like stuff, the video I said last week on the show with pick 6, like I wanted to see Mark Stoops added to the collection, and we sure saw it this week. I went back and watched it on TV after being there, and seeing him rage was absolutely crazy. Like these coaches that have these defenses, Kentucky, talking about being a top 20 defense or whatnot, getting exposed and then just raging after the fact was crazy. And like the similarities between us and LSU, like the transfer quarterback, we have Heisman Hooker, Josh Heupel, our offensive mastermind. They had Joe Brady. Like it's definitely there, but just overall. But Drew.
Yeah, I mean, I know, Alex, you said that you're like anxious about this game on Saturday. Honestly, I'm confident. Like I'm actually confident that we can win this game fairly easily. And the reason so is like I know like statistically it looks like Georgia has this big scary defense. And don't get me wrong, they have a very good defense, and I think it'll probably be the best defense we'll face all year. But they're not like the steel curtain like the 70s Steelers or anything like that. Like if you really dissect like these offenses that they play, I was breaking it down today. So they've played 7 FBS opponents this year, right? They played Samford, which is Division II, so it can't really count them as far as the stats go. But as far as his offense go, they played Oregon, who's ranked 3rd, and I think we can all agree that very first game of the season, Oregon's a way different team than they were back in September. They played South Carolina, who's ranked 99th in total offense, Kent State, who's 39th, Missouri, who's 87th, Auburn, who's 74th, Vanderbilt, who's 108th, and Florida, 46th. That comes up to an average of 65th. So every team they're playing they're scoring maybe 24, 25 points a game. This offense is going to put them in shock because they're fast-paced. They don't stop. They always get 4 or 5 yards to carry. And I think one of the things that we get more disrespected about our offense more than anything else is our running game. I mean, we average nearly 200 yards a game in rushing. And we run the ball over 50% of the time as well. And like no one talks about that. Everyone thinks that we have this like air raid offense when in reality, most of our offensive plays are running the ball. And the one stat that I thought was more surprising than anything else, Georgia is last in the SEC with team sacks this year with only 10.
And just lost their starting edge rusher who led them in sacks.
Nolan Smith, who contributed 30%.
Also with Nolan Smith, interesting fact with him being out. So with him playing, they held teams to like an average. It was under 2 yards rushing per play. And with him out, like with him not playing, it's an average of 4. Like I wanted to say, they said it was 4.4, 4.6 yards per play. That's a massive.
Yeah, that means we're going to feast.
Yeah,
We're gonna feast.
I mean, Jabari Small and Jalen Wright are licking their lips. Like, if Jalen Wright did the Gator chomp against Florida, what's he going to do in Athens against the Dog? I mean,
oh yeah.
He ran like a madman too.
And the thing is, as well, it's like, unless they have 4 first-round draft picks over there in the secondary, they're not going to stop our wideouts. You could try to double team, Jalen Hyatt, but then you just leave Cedric and Brew out there wide open. And like, we're 4 or 5 guys deep that like could easily be starters anywhere else in the country.
Don't forget Ramel now.
Like,
hey,
I don't think anyone can stop us. I really don't.
Ramel out
bro,
there.
can we point out how good Princeton Fant has been in this offense? I wanted to let that be known. That man is tight end, quarterback, halfback, no matter what it is. My man is out here thriving, and that guy is making himself a lot of money. Like, that's just absolutely crazy. But there's just no way that a healthy Cedric Tillman, who set out the second half of Kentucky because we didn't need him because Kentucky was just awful, like, he's going to be fully healthy, ready to go, got the rust off him. If Georgia has the balls to leave Cedric Tillman one-on-one, let it happen, because I promise you, Cedric Tillman's going to not only like recreate the Juwan performance, but it won't even be close for a Hail Mary is needed. Like, Tennessee will go out here and put up points and blow this team out like we did LSU. Like, it's very well possible. There's so many scenarios that could happen. Like, I could definitely see an overtime game. Wouldn't be surprised if either team got, stomped. But I think it's going to come down. The point I wanted to point out is the red zone. I was watching last year's game, right? 0 for 5 on drives in the red zone. Tennessee this year in the red zone on offense, 100%. They score every single time. And if you go out there,
that's crazy. That's so
crazy.
Go
out there and score points. Go out there and run your offense, score your points. Like, we're gonna go out there and win this ball game. Like, it's not even. It's just gonna happen.
What a stat!
Play our game. Play how we play, and no one's stopping us. You just can't. You can't stop this offense.
That's incredible. I love that you talked about Tillman. Did you guys see that tweet I shared when they asked him about his injury? I had
to make sure that was a real quote. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's so freaking legendary. For those who didn't see it, they asked him how he was feeling, like, after injury, and he said he felt good. And they said on a scale of 1 to 100, he said feels like 98. What a champion. I freaking love that. Let's see. One of our listeners says, Jonathan Crompton always says that if we run for 150 yards plus, we will win against literally anyone.
Well, that's the thing, though.
Yeah.
This running back room is not getting enough credit as it is. Like, they're averaging 250 yards rushing per game. We have running plays. We run running plays 57% of the time over our offensive passing plays. So, to say that we survive off the air game, arguably it's Jalen Wright and Jabari Small opening up this offense, because when we go wide, you don't know if you're getting a long ball that's going to go to Jalen Hyatt wide open, or if Jabari Small is about to gas you for 30 yards. And that's what even, Smart, like you said earlier, it's so hard to read this offense. And I definitely think they have a challenge. It's going to be our biggest challenge, obviously, just from a talent differential, but them being out without their starting edge, Amarius Mims also rumored to be banged up on their offensive line, and their star receiver who had 2 touchdowns in last year's game against Bama, the one that almost came here, but Pruitt wouldn't take him because he had diabetes. Can't think of his name right now. He's questionable to play. And so just a lot of, banged up guys. If Georgia wants to exploit us, teams have been able to do it with our DBs and our safeties, but I think our safeties, if they're going to, target the tight end, that kind of helps us in a stance, because just our corners. But we're going to be the most healthy we've been. And, this defense, even Heupel said in his interview after the college football playoff, they were asking him, your defense is not as exciting as your offense, but his answer was, it will be. And I think we're just, seeing the scratch of the surface. If Tennessee wants to go out there and, compete and have their goal in mind, we're going to see that defense come alive this weekend.
No, I'm glad you brought up the Russian attack, because again, in the Kentucky game, I think it was our second or third drive. There was one series we had 15 plays, 2 passes, 13 rushes, ended in a rushing touchdown. And I saw somebody tweet, it was we were just doing it just for shits and gigs, because they couldn't stop it. We were getting 4, 5, 6, 7 yards that series alone. And like you said, when small starts and he gets it going, but then there's no drop off when Jalen Wright comes in. Jalen Wright was running like an absolute animal last game. He had that one where he hurdled the dude, about tripped, and picked it up and ran for 40 more.
Mhm.
Like that was great. And then like even if one of them's having an off game, which most of the time they're both clicking, but when one of them has a bad game, it seems like the other one's always there to pick up the production and keep that shit moving. And then you still got Dylan Sampson, who's just like waiting on third string, like waiting on his time to shine. Like you said, like obviously Hooker and the receivers are getting such credit, but it's like with our offense, it's so well-rounded and talented that you're like, but wait, look at this. But wait, look at this. Offensive line looks fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, we thought they would like maybe underperform this year because we lost, but it's like you could look at every position. Princeton Fant, tight end, doing all the stuff that he's doing. I mean, he's going crazy going in the power out, lining up as a fullback. Like, this shit's incredible. I don't know that we've ever seen anything like this. Like, it's just awesome. You can look at every part of our football team right now and say, like, this is moving like a well-oiled machine, and it is coming to dang Athens, and it's going to steamroll them. Like, that's all it is. And
It's 100% true.
And sorry, I got one more thing to say. I'm getting excited. But, I don't think we've ever had a time where it's like, oh, if we just play our game. Like, it's always been, oh, if Georgia has a bad day, we might have a chance. Oh, if Bama has a bad day. If Saban coaches bad, we maybe will be within 2 touchdowns. We might make it interesting. No, it's if Tennessee plays their game and shows up on Saturday, we win, period, point blank. If Tennessee wins on Saturday, we take care of our season. We direct our whole entire path the rest of the way. We make the playoff because of what we did, not because somebody had a bad day. They didn't show up to work that day. No, it's because we did. We kicked their hind end, and we took their money. So, I mean, that's that. I don't know. We've never been in this spot. I'm excited. Go Ball.
It's so true to be that excited. And you want to look at how well-balanced, like, the offense is as a whole. I like to take it back to that 15-play drive against Kentucky, where I don't even know how long it was, but 15 plays is unheard of for us on offense. We do whatever the hell we want. That, I think, was just to change the pace, show the guys on offense exactly how we control however the hell we want to play the ball game. If we want to drive down and get a game-winning field goal in 15 fucking seconds against Alabama, we can do that. If we want to have a 15-play, insanely sustained, balanced drive, we can do that. And I really think that everyone is probably focusing on our wideouts. And I'm sure Kirby Smart has a plan, but I think Heupel has a bigger plan. It's if we execute on offense, we win this football game. It doesn't even matter. I think our defense can probably also come up with 1 or 2 stops and even force some turnovers. But if our offense just executes from start to finish, I see no reason how we don't win the football game.
If we just play our own style of football and make Georgia try to play the way that we play, there is 0 fucking chance that they will beat us on Saturday. Because no one's going to outscore us. No one's going to stop us. Literally the only way we will lose this game is if they find a way to stop Hendon Hooker. And quite honestly, I don't think they can do it. I really don't.
I agree.
To this point, nobody has. I mean, one pick on the season, and it was to Bama. Okay, everybody expects to get like at least 1 turnover against Bama, but like what 4 picks in 2 seasons, but it's been like 50+ touchdowns. This man's incredible. Like, he's already cemented himself as a Rocky Top legend. He gets the Heisman, he might be like one of the greatest of all time. Like, I mean, he really gunning for it.
I would honestly, if he wins the Heisman, because someone put out a stat like last week about Peyton's stats, like in 90 senior year, he threw for over 3,819 yards and 39 touchdowns on 477 passing attempts. Hooker's on pace to go for 3,887 yards, 39 total touchdowns on 360 passing attempts.
100 less, yeah, I've seen that.
I'm just going to tell you this right now. If he wins the Heisman, he, in my eyes, is the greatest quarterback to ever play at Tennessee. And I don't think you could disagree with it.
He might be top 5 player all time, like player, not even quarterback.
1,000,000%. Because, I mean, he had already achieved something that Peyton never did, which was beat Florida, win the Heisman, beat Bama, talking about beating Georgia on the road, putting Tennessee at number 1 in the country, and then giving us a chance at the national championship. I mean, you can't argue it.
Good God. It's hard to just summarize all of that and believe that's actually happened.
Yeah, we've seen it all year with these coaches talking about putting their feet in the ground and going out there and playing fast ball. This week, I'm kind of hearing the same thing from Kirby, how he's glorifying this offense. I just don't think they're going to be able to defend it. I think that no matter what, if we do slow it down, how Hendon and Heupel together have, picked apart defenses, just reading their coverage in, huge game situations, they're going to go out there and execute in those big plays, and that's probably going to be the difference maker because I definitely expect Georgia to be able to score some points. But I think, this is going to be another week where Heupel goes in there, with less than 30 players on his roster, a team that went 3-7 2 years ago and is now the number one team in the country. And he's going to go out there with this offense and just out-coach Kirby. Like he's done it to every single coach, Billy Napier, LSU, now Mark Stoops, Nick Saban. Like it's just, he's going to go out there and get it done. I think definitely when it lines up to it, he's going to have a game plan to go out there and score. If it's Tennessee, if they go out there and score on their first two drives, like they have, all year, like Georgia's not keeping up. Their leading receiver is Brock Bowers, and yeah, he's a generational talent. But when your leading receiver is your tight end, two of your tight ends are your top leading receivers, that's kind of saying something about your offense. And I think our safeties just outmatch our corners there, and that's going to be the difference.
I'm glad you mentioned their offense because I think this will be a really surprise to all three of y'all. The fact that Georgia's number 2 in the country in points per game. They average 41.7 points a game, right? Which you would think from on paper, on that perspective, that they're in the same level as Tennessee. But if you really break down on like the defenses that they played, they've literally played one different defense the entire season that is ranked in the top 50, and that's Missouri.
Oh my God!
I'm serious. I mean,
Missouri made it interesting. Missouri held them to 29.
South Carolina 51st. Kent State is 118th. Missouri's 19th, Auburn's 94th, Vanderbilt's 123rd, and Florida's 117th. You want to know how many defenses that Tennessee's played in the top 50 this year? 4. Half of our wins are against defenses that are in the top 50, with Pitt, with LSU, Alabama, and surprisingly, Kentucky's top 20, as far as that seems to believe.
That's insane.
Like, so when you break it down, like, yeah, they average 41 points a game, and you may think, like, oh, this is going to be like a shootout. But, dude, they haven't fucking played anyone. I mean, their schedule's been a joke. I mean, they have one ranked win the entire year. So I really think – I don't think they're going to keep up. And I think it's one of those things that, honestly, if we make a couple stops early in the first quarter and, we start off on it, you could easily see us be up by 21 at halftime. I really believe that.
Well, that was the same way with Alabama. I mean, we came out freaking scorching hot. We almost had 28 there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when Milton came out to throw that Hail Mary right before halftime, the ball was in his hands, like in the end zone. So, what the hell? Like, the whole country was like, what are we watching? But you knew then that, like, Bama was going to make some sort of comeback. This Georgia team, they don't have a Bryce Young at all. I mean, Stetson and Bryce Young are not even remotely in the same freaking ballpark here. And so with that being said, I think that we could really set the tone by halftime. I mean, I could see us easily scoring anywhere between 14 to 21 points in the first half, potentially more, but 14 to 21 sounds reasonable. Do you honestly think that Georgia's going to come back and answer us with every score? I don't.
No shot, no.
I mean, go ahead.
I was going to say, I also don't expect, though, for Georgia to come out there and, like, make mistakes like LSU did, fumbling the first kickoff and just being flat from the start. Like, I definitely think our defense will have to be on the field to get the stop. But I still don't think, our defense has been much improved. Pick 6 pointed out last week when you look at, per player, per drive. Tennessee's defense is way better than it is, in the stat sheet just because of how long they're on the field. If they go out there and they execute and you get up, 2 or 3 scores like you said, there's no way I can see them coming back. Yeah, it's their own stadium, but that might literally be a disadvantage for them at this point.
Yeah, that's a great point. We're literally almost at 50 minutes, so I feel like we should dive into – I mean, we kind of already did in terms of scoring. I guess let's go around. I want to get how many points everyone thinks that Tennessee has to score to win this football game, and then we'll go around after that and get final score predictions.
I guess after the stat earlier, I think that 30+ margin, that's a safe bet. as long as they can go out there and execute on defense. But I would say just to be safe, 38 or to 41. I'm going to go with 38. I think if you can go out there and hold them and defense plays like they played last week, that there's, a way that ends up like a 38-31 game, 38-35. But definitely go out there and just – there's no way they hold us under 30. Like, it's been so many weeks since the team's held Heupel's offense under 30 points. It's just – I don't see it happening this week.
Yeah, honestly, when Brando was going, he was like, at least 30. I'm like, okay, but it's got to be a little bit more than that. And he'd say 38. I was like, all right, I'm sitting at 42. But anywhere from that 38 to 45 range is kind of where I would feel most comfortable. Obviously, more is best, but to feel like without a doubt we win, I think 42.
I'm going to say at least 35. Just because I have zero faith in their offense. I know their offense is good. It's decent, but this defense has made such a huge turnaround in the last 2 weeks, especially since that Bama performance. And as Brando mentioned, this is the healthiest that we have been the entire year. And I think the fact of having Jay McCullough back as well, and Tanika is playing out of his mind right now, and along with, Jeremy Banks and Juwan Mitchell, I think if we score at least 35 points, which I think we'll honestly probably wind up maybe doing by halftime. But I think regardless of, at least 35, guaranteed win at that point.
Okay. I like it. And I know, like you said, with that 30-plus stat, it's interesting. Alex said 42. I was certainly thinking anywhere between 40 to 42. Just because I feel like we need a little bit of extra padding. You mentioned that they've been able to score, I know they're against really trash defenses, but I'm trying to account for some slip-ups on our defensive end as well. Just because I think if our offense plays a perfect game, then we win irregardless of our defense, right? But I think our defense may have a slip-up or two, not play quite nearly as good as we did against Kentucky. They may blow my mind, but I'm thinking that has to be pushed a little bit higher into the 40 to 42 range to really secure it. So let's go to score prediction time.
Oh, here we go.
All right. I've been seeing all the Chase slander about if that kick didn't get blocked, we would have not kicked that field goal against Bama and made it. It hasn't been hot the last 2 weeks. I said it just a few seconds ago, 38-35, Chase McGrath leads, career history and field goal percentage. I think he goes out there, matches his Rose Bowl and Bama kick. This one, a clean kick. Tennessee wins the game, 38-35. Vols offense goes out there and gets it done.
I'm going to go 42-34. And I have no other reasoning other than that's the score that popped into my head. But I think our offense keeps it running. And Lo, like you said, we do run that defensive style of bend but don't break. There's going to be a couple times we break against this team. Their offense is solid. Like we're not here saying that they're trash and that they'll never score against us, and our defense is like the steel curtain, like y'all been saying. But like we've been saying over and over every week on a Wednesday night, nobody has slowed this offense down, and I see this train keeping on going. So 42-34.
I think the Vols are going to start off early. At least first 3 possessions wind up in touchdowns for us. Now, I do think there's going to be a little bit of a slow period near the end of the second quarter, and they'll be able to come back. But I think Hendon Hooker is going to have his Heisman moment, over 300 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, and a rushing TD. And I think we're going to, finally beat Georgia 45-35.
Oh, my God, I love it. It's so weird. Alex and I are completely on the same page. So you're saying that that Tennessee will score a touchdown every drive. I switched it up and put in 2 field goals. So I have it at 41-34, which would make for an incredibly interesting game. That could be a late touchdown to win it, where we're all just kind of in a little standoff between field goals or something, and then Heupel just draws some crazy shit up for the winning touchdown. I could literally see that just all over this game. I'll go absolutely ballistic. So I'm sticking with that, 41-34. still pretty close. We have no idea what's going to happen, but I don't feel nervous at all because the fact of the matter is Georgia actually has more to lose in this game than we do.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
That is the way it is. I've heard multiple media outlets say that they have the rest of their schedule is basically shit. Like in terms of playoff rankings, like they have so much to lose right now, and we're just kind of sitting here like, yeah, we earned this. Our strength of schedule has been insane. We have showed up. No one expected us to. Here we are. We're going to show up here in Athens, and we'll just see what happens. So people are literally referencing this as the game of the decade. I mean, it's literally the first time that like the number one AP has played the number one college football playoff rank at the same time. It's absolutely insane. So I hope it plays out to be the game of the decade, but it'll be the decade of the Vols.
Yeah.
Did you see that? I forget where it went. How crazy the ticket prices are this week. They were saying like this is the most expensive college football game this year.
It's
and it was like
$688 to get in.
And then like the highest one was listed at like $5K.
Oh my!
Half K. Like I swear I think it was like 5,600. Like people are dying to watch this game, and people can make a fortune off this game. That's how big it is.
Oh
God,
my!
It's crazy to see us.
That is insane. I'm so lucky with what I got my tickets at. Oh my God. I cannot wait to be there. I cannot wait. Like Friday cannot come any sooner for me.
I guess for me to close it in my statement, a blue tick hound will be your best friend. Uga is just a terrible crossbreed connection creation and just terrible. Shouldn't be a dog, but I'm definitely taking the Vols. Vol Nation, don't let anyone take this week away from you. You're the number one team. We're the number one team. We're going to go out there. We expect to win on Saturday, as we should. It's been a long time since we said we could say that. But this offense, this team, the buy-in, everything that's going, building up, it's going to be hard to stop this. To go into a defending national championships home and beat them on their own field will be something we probably haven't done in decades on decades. I can't imagine. Probably, the last time we beat the number one team at home was like Auburn in 1995, I believe. And I wasn't even born then. So let's go out there, take care of business. Vol Nation, swarm Athens, and let's go out there and get this W. There's going to be people barking at people. Somehow they think it's okay to be human beings and bark at human beings, but I think I'm taking the Vols, man.
Hey, last thing I got to say is somebody, or I guess not somebody, but a bunch of my friends down here have always asked me, like, dang, like, can you believe what's going on? And I'm honestly like, no, I can't. I've quite literally never seen this in my lifetime. I think the most wins I've seen that I like consciously remember were the 2 9-win seasons back in 15 and 16. And I really thought it didn't get any better than that. Like I thought that we were hitting our head on the ceiling. I promise. I was like, holy shit! Like, what do? We got to 8 regular season wins. Now we can go for 9. Like we almost got 10. And now look at us. We're 9 weeks into the season with a bye week, and we're already hitting 8. I mean, like, this is incredible. We should absolutely be celebrating what we've done, even though, like, or however, whatever you say. Kobe Bryant said it best, job's not finished. But, I mean, like, take a second, appreciate what's going on. This doesn't happen often. It hasn't happened in the last 25 years, that's for certain. So we might as well just enjoy what we got going on. Same thing with the basketball team. Same thing with the baseball team. Like, live in this moment, appreciate it. But, God, I hope it doesn't end. I'm ready for Saturday.
Yeah. I mean, agree with Brando. Regardless of what happens on Saturday, let's don't take away from the fact that we are the number one team in the country. And even it might be for a week, this is something that none of us have seen in our lifetime. It is an unbelievable season. It's going to go down as one of the best seasons in Tennessee football history, regardless of what happens on Saturday. And, sure, we're playing defending national champs, 8.5-point dogs. A lot of, people don't think that Vegas doesn't think we have a shot. A lot of people are doubting us, especially SEC pundits and Georgia fans too. But you know what? As Jock Peterson said for the Braves last year, we might be those motherfuckers. All right, so we might be those motherfuckers to beat get this up and solidify our status.
Oh no.
Oh my God. I don't know how to follow that up. I do have to drop this out there for anyone who's going to Athens. This is an Athens UT alumni tailgate, literally on campus in the parking lot, like outside of Sanford Stadium. So it starts from 12 to 3. All Vols are welcome. They've got it's BYOB. Obviously, there'll probably be a shit ton of people there, so don't expect to get free drinks. Bring your own stuff. They do have food there, but I think it was prepay. So basically, it's just a all Vols social club at UGA campus, which I can't think of anything more fun to go to. Especially, if you want to avoid getting barked at prior to game time, I would say surround yourself in a sea of orange. As far as this, literally don't listen to what anyone says about, oh, it's going to feel nice for those 4 days. Who gives a shit? These are going to be the best 4 days ever, being ranked number 1 if that's what happens. And we all need to continue to celebrate it, suck it in, everything, just take it all in. This is everything that we have been waiting for. This is what we do this show for. This is why I watch college football. This is why every other sport fucking sucks right now. I can't even stand to watch the NFL. I don't care about the World Series. This is it. So show up. If you're wearing orange, just be loud. Be there to support this team no matter what happens, even if things don't go our way, but I think they will. And it's going to be a great time on Saturday. And we are right where we want to be. We have everything going for us. This is everything we've hoped for, so let's just freaking enjoy it. I think that ends it for all of us. But until next time, good night and go Vols.
We might
Go
be those
Vols.
motherfuckers, bro. That's crazy.